Hey, neighbors, welcome to the Essex Junction Packet Podcast. I'm Marcus Serta, former Essex Junction City Councilor. And look, I put this project together as an independent community project, hopefully to help improve with some access, transparency, and engagement within our community by helping to break down the upcoming city council meetings and trying to make it a little more approachable and hopefully a little more understandable. This show is not affiliated with or endorsed or approved by the City of Essex Junction or the Essex Junction City Council. And as always, this is not a show to replace attending meetings, reading the packet, or participating directly in local government. As a matter of fact, I encourage you to do just that. Think of this as more of a snapshot of what's coming up in City Hall and why it may matter. So let's take a quick look at what's happening at the May 27th Essex Junction City Council meeting. Starting us off in the business items are interviews and appointments for several city committees and boards. The city currently has a lot of openings in a pretty wide range of committees, including Bike Walk Advisory, Planning Commission, Recreation Advisory, Police Community Advisory Board, the Tree Advisory, and of course, there are a few others. Most of the focus this week is going to appear to be about the Bike Walk Advisory applicants and a Planning Commission appointment. One thing worth noting about committee appointments is that they're actually pretty important as a part of local government. A lot of policy discussions and recommendations happen at the committee level before issues are ever brought to the full council. So for residents interested in getting more involved locally, these boards are one of the most direct ways to participate in shaping city decisions. The packet also is noting that there are interviews and additional applicants that will continue in the upcoming June 10th meeting. So this is more of an ongoing appointment process rather than a one-night decision on all the openings. The council is also expected to discuss reappointing Steve Eustace as moderator since he's the only applicant for that particular role. Next up, department head briefing from Chief Gaborio on the fire department. Now, there are actually a few notable items in this particular update. First, the department says overall call volume is down 20% compared to the same point last year. Now, that can sometimes fluctuate year to year, but it is notable as an operational trend. And the department is also continuing work on its training facility at CVE, although the wet spring has kind of slowed down some of that progress. On the equipment side, there are some early warning signs financially. The chief notes that vehicle maintenance costs have exceeded budget projections, and the city is beginning planning for future apparatus replacements, including a command vehicle and a pumper truck replacement planned for FY29. Now, these kinds of purchases happen far in advance due to the assembly time, and it's really important to discuss these items now before the expense in FY29. And the packet specifically flags a rolling stock funding shortfall, which is essentially a warning that the city may need to revisit how it funds large emergency vehicle replacements going forward. Now, this may not be a major public conversation immediately, but it is the kind of infrastructure and capital planning issue that can become really important in future budget cycles, especially as we're talking about affordability. Third on the agenda is a big topic for the city's draft community engagement plan. This proposal grows out of the city's broader strategic plan that was adopted previously. And at a high level, the goal here is to create more of a formal structure about how Essex Junction communicates with its residents, also gathers feedback, and involves people in that decision making. So one of the central themes in the engagement is about making that engagement happen earlier in projects before those major decisions are actually finalized. The draft is also outlining some framework for determining how much public involvement different projects should receive, because there are some projects that simply require informing the public, while others could involve consultation, collaboration, or some active participation. The packet includes a fairly extensive toolkit covering things like stakeholder identification, outreach methods, public meeting design, surveys, accessibility discussions, and post-project reporting. There are also some interesting ideas in here, including around reducing participation barriers, things like childcare support, translation services, transportation considerations, and broader digital outreach. Importantly, this is not being presented as a final adopted policy. Staff are only asking the council for feedback before refining the document further over the next few months. Now, the fourth business item in the discussion with the council is an application relating to Essex Junction's becoming Vermont's 10th city. This is a proposed historical marker recognizing the city's transition from village to city status. This is a relatively short agenda item, but it is one of those symbolic civic history moments that helps document how Essex Junction's structure has evolved over time. Also on the agenda, the council will hear from Sarah Reeves, the executive director at Chittenden Solid Waste District, or CSWD, about the upcoming FY27 budget, since member municipalities are required to vote on CSWD's budget every year. Now, for residents unfamiliar, CSWD is the county-wide municipality that helps coordinate waste management, recycling, composting, and disposal services across Chittenden County. Now, while this is technically a regional governance issue, decisions there can eventually affect service costs, recycling policies, infrastructure planning, and environmental initiatives locally. Also on the agenda, the council will be designating a voting delegate for the upcoming Vermont League of Cities and Towns special meeting. Now, this is mostly procedural, but VLCT plays a significant role in municipal policy discussions statewide, including areas like taxes, housing, public safety, infrastructure funding, and state-local government relationships. Last on the business items is a consideration for an executive session. Now, they will vote on the consent agenda first, then move to this item if it's necessary to hear about the attorney-client communications that are indicated. As usual, executive sessions are not publicly generally available unless that discussion needs to be put into public action at a future time. Now, let's look at the consent agenda. The consent agenda is essentially the council's bulk approval list. These are typically routine, administrative, previously discussed items expected to pass basically in one vote unless a councilor wants to pull them out for a separate discussion. Now, this week's consent agenda includes approval of recent meeting minutes, liquor and tobacco licenses, and an amendment to the city's delinquent tax policy. The tax policy amendment relates to the city's annual meeting vote on no longer honoring postmarks for delinquent tax payments. Now, this is one of those issues that's been previously discussed, and the vote supported the change in policy. This is why it's in the consent, and this will have impact. So it's a good reminder to look at the consent agenda for items like this that will affect you. Also, taking a look at the reading file, what we see is basically this city's informational inbox. Items here are usually not debated. There's no vote needed, but they do help counselors and the public stay informed about ongoing projects, finances, committee work, and of course, operational updates. This week's reading file includes a regular warrant check register, hazard mitigation updates, committee minutes, and an update regarding the transition of community justice responsibilities to the city of Burlington. Now, one notable item is the All Hazard Mitigation Plan Progress Report. Those plans generally deal with emergency preparedness, flooding, infrastructure resilience, and of course, disaster response coordination issues that continue to become more important across Vermont due to the changing weather patterns like we've seen in the aftermath of rainstorms in central Vermont the last couple of years. The Planning Commission minutes continue reflecting ongoing conversations around growth, planning, transportation, and development pressures in Essex Junction. As a side note, I did want to let you know about an upcoming meeting on June 3rd for the Development Review Board. Now, they're continuing a conceptual review of 11 housing units at 60 Old Colchester Road by Sterling Home Properties. And they're also going to be looking at a final site plan of a 4-story building with 39 residential units at 8 Railroad Street by Franklin South LLC. Now, I'll continue to add items like this to our briefings so you can hear about these new projects happening. Look, If you appreciate these kinds of updates, leave a comment below or like and subscribe to the channel. And this is going to help me improve the program for you. Hey, that's it for this overview of the Essex Junction City Council meeting coming up for Wednesday, May 27th. If any of these these topics interest you, especially topics like community engagement, city planning, emergency services funding, or committee participation, attending the meeting or submitting public comment is always the best way to stay directly involved. The meeting begins at 6:30 and can be attended in person at 2 Lincoln or remotely through Town Meeting TV or Zoom. Links are in the description below, but you can also go to essexjunction.org for all the details. Hey, thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you in an upcoming meeting, and I hope to see you right back here before the next one.